What happens when boxing's biggest disruptor collides with one of the most dangerous knockout artists in the world? While at the same time, the UFC is rocked by rivalries, brutal honesty, and shocking cuts. This week in combat sports has been nothing short of insane. From Jake-Paul's circus showdown with Gervonta Tank Davis that could put his legacy at risk, to Nate Diaz savagely calling Hamzat Chimaev a scared fighter, all the way to Conor McGregor's surprising training footage in Italy and Jon Jones reigniting his war of words with Daniel Cormier. And believe me, it doesn't stop there, because behind all the headlines there's speculation, betrayal, and moves that could change both boxing and MMA forever. But here's the kicker. What looks like entertainment on the surface could actually be the beginning of a massive shift in how fights are made, how titles are defended, and how legacies are written. This isn't just about the wins and losses. This is about reputations, respect, and the future of the sport. Jake-Paul versus Tank Davis. The circus begins. Gervonta. Tank Davis just shocked the boxing world by agreeing to an exhibition fight with Jake-Paul.
Who were you going to call out? What was the plan originally?
I think he was here. He came in my locker room.
Shakur Stevenson?
He wasn't in my locker room.
Jake-Paul?
On November 14th in Atlanta. On paper, this might sound like a blockbuster dream. One of boxing's hardest punchers stepping into the ring with the YouTube sensation who turned himself into a pay-per-view machine. But the reality? It's chaos. Tank was supposed to run back a controversial draw against Lamont Roach, a mandatory rematch that the WBA wanted. Instead, he skipped it to chase Jake-Paul. But that's not all. The weight difference is outrageous. Jake has been fighting at cruiserweight, near 200 pounds, while Tank lives at 135 pounds. That's over 60 pounds apart. Critics are already calling it fake, saying it's closer to WWE than real boxing. Even Ryan Garcia, never shy about voicing his opinion, blasted the matchup as a circus act that damages the sport's credibility. Fans are split. Some think it's entertaining, others believe Tank just sold his soul for spectacle. The reason this is happening might be simple. Money. This fight will sell. But at what cost? If the WBA strips Tank of his title, he risks not only his belt but also his legacy. For a fighter once considered the face of boxing's new generation, is this really worth it? While boxing gets dragged into circus territory, the UFC showed a rare moment of mutual respect. Dustin Poirier revealed that Max Holloway mailed him the gloves from their trilogy, the very ones Max wore during what turned out to be Poirier's retirement fight. Instead of keeping them, Poirier is auctioning the gloves for his Good Fight Foundation, aiming to raise money to help the people of Hawaii.
What's up, guys? Just got a package delivered from Blessed Max Holloway, the man himself. And it's actually my retirement fight, the gloves he beat me up with. We're gonna be auctioning these off for the Good Fight Foundation. And whatever we raise, we'd love to do something back in Hawaii. You guys have a great champion, a great person. Max, you're the man. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. About to get our feathers ruffled. Silly Goose Fitness Club. Be good to yourself today. Stretch, stay hydrated, sweat, get a workout. Go outside. The weather forecast is 100% chance of...
But listen to this. Poirier didn't just thank Max for the gesture, he acknowledged how rare it is to have a rival show that kind of respect in a sport fueled by trash talk. In a time when fighters are obsessed with hype, Poirier and Holloway remind fans why combat sports can still have heart. And yet, just as fans were applauding this moment, the conversation quickly shifted back to rivalry, call-outs, and fighters taking shots at one another, because one man in particular refuses to let Hamzat Chimaev off the hook. Reinier de Ridder exposes Hamzat's holes. Reinier de Ridder, the Dutch submission specialist and one championship star, went on Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman's podcast and made waves. He boldly claimed that Hamzat Chimaev has glaring holes in his game.
What makes you different?
I could do stuff that Trikus was not able to do. Take him down, put him on his back, gotta hurt him, make him work harder. There's not an area that's gonna be bad for me.
Fluffy is on an 8-fight win streak.
Fluffy is very good. He beat Dolidze, and I don't want to be a hater, but I don't think Dolidze is really good anywhere.
It's refreshing how honest you are.
I feel like we should be friends, RDR.
He's not there at all. He's not even close. I beat 5 guys this year, and he beat nobody this year.
Who would you consider the greatest middleweight champion?
He's the best.
Who do you think has the best chance of dethroning the newly crowned champion?
It's me. I think so.
Hey!
RDR.
Ones that he could exploit if they ever fought. According to RDR, Hamzat is dominant against fighters who stay flat and let him dictate, but against someone who can reverse positions and force him on his back, he's vulnerable. But that's not all. RDR isn't just talking theory, he's about to step into the cage with Anthony Hernandez, and he insists that unlike others, he wouldn't fold under Hamzat's relentless wrestling pressure. He believes he has the tools to hurt Hamzat, wear him out, and finish him. The reason this is so explosive? Hamzat is being positioned as the UFC's next superstar, and any narrative that paints him as beatable chips away at the aura, and RDR isn't the only one throwing shade. Caio Borralho, insider knowledge on Hamzat. Brazil's Caio Borralho doubled down on the criticism. In a recent interview, Borralho said Hamzat's UFC 319 performance wasn't impressive at all.
That's why people are upset about it, because people want to see finish. But he dominated in a dominant fashion. Dricus didn't have any response to anything, and to be fair, he did a great job defending the chokes and all the attacks that Hamzat did. But besides that, I think he just couldn't take it. He just had no answers for that. So, and that's actually my advantage among all the other middleweights in the division, is that I know what to expect because I already trained with Hamzat, and so I didn't just train with him. I spent like 2 months with him and his team in Sweden, and then after that in Las Vegas. So I know his system, know what to expect and everything. You see Dricus, he stayed flat all the beginning of the fight. So staying flat with a guy that just wants to take you down, it's like the biggest mistake that you can do. So I think myself, Hamzat might have some problems in the beginning because of my movement, because of my footwork, because of my feints and all that. And I have a good base to defend takedowns, movement and footwork, defending takedowns, starting to put my hands on him, and then the fight will be better for me as the fight goes longer and longer.
To most fans, Hamzat's dominant grappling seemed overwhelming. But to Borralho, who actually trained with him in Sweden and Las Vegas, it was predictable. It gets worse for Hamzat's image. Borralho revealed that Hamzat's system is one he already knows inside and out, and that makes him confident he could dismantle it. He pointed out how Dricus du Plessis stayed flat on his back against Hamzat, which played right into the wrestler's strengths. Borralho insists his movement, footwork, and takedown defense would change everything. This isn't just trash talk. When a fighter who spent months training with Hamzat says he knows the playbook, it creates doubt. And then, just when Hamzat's critics were piling on, Nate Diaz stepped in with his sign, "At your brutal honesty." Nate Diaz, calling Hamzat a scared fighter. Leave it to Nate Diaz to cut through the noise. During a live stream, Diaz ripped into Hamzat Chimaev, calling him boring and even scared for his life inside the cage.
I don't like that kind of fighting.
What's it boring?
It's boring to me.
Like it's the one that's on the ground the whole time?
Like he's supposed to be a big, scary guy, right? And do you remember when he had him in side control and he's holding him, dominating him, right? And then he's like, let's go, and he hits him a little bit, like little soft punches and shit. It's like, that's what people don't understand about the styles. Like that type of fighter is a scared fighter. He's scared for his life that he lets go that much to hit. He's that afraid that if he lets go to hit him hard, that motherfucker might get up and get the fuck away from him. So that's a scared style to me. He comes off as this big intimidating guy, but he's a big old scared fucking child. And that's why I tweeted about it. I said, he's not a fighter because you could tell by how scared he is holding him that tight.
He mocked Hamzat's side control dominance at UFC 319, claiming the reason Hamzat throws weak punches on the ground is because he's terrified the opponent might escape if he commits to real shots. But that's not all. Nate went further, labeling Hamzat as fake intimidating, a fighter who hides behind control but avoids taking real risks. For fans already disappointed by Hamzat's inability to finish, Nate's words hit hard. The reason this matters? Nate's voice carries weight. He's one of the few fighters who can sway fan opinion just by speaking his mind. And at a time when the UFC is desperate to market Hamzat as a monster, having a legend like Nate call him scared threatens the whole narrative. Conor McGregor, training in Italy. While Hamzat was busy defending his image, Conor McGregor popped back into the spotlight in true McGregor fashion. Footage surfaced of him sparring in Naples, Italy with amateur fighters. He stuffed takedowns, threw counters, and looked surprisingly sharp for a man who hasn't fought in years. But listen to this. Every time Conor appears in training videos, the speculation machine explodes. Is he coming back? Who will he fight? Is his body finally healthy enough after years of injuries? Fans want answers, and Conor knows exactly how to keep them guessing. The reason it matters is because even when he's absent, Conor remains the UFC's biggest headline machine. And while he plays the comeback tease, Jon Jones reignited an old rivalry that fans can't seem to get enough of. Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier, the GOAT debate. Daniel Cormier stirred controversy again when asked to name his Mount Rushmore of MMA. He listed Demetrius Johnson, George St. Pierre, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and then stopped. No Jon Jones, no Anderson Silva.
How much you weigh right now, fat?
Enough. How about you?
About 220, 223.
Good.
Feeling strong. Man, Daniel, you're weak as today.
Okay.
It gets crazier. DC explained he left them out because of their steroid controversies, saying he refuses to acknowledge fighters who tested positive in his GOAT conversation. Predictably, Jon Jones fired back on X, reminding everyone of his long list of accolades: state champ, youngest UFC champion, title defenses, and more. He dismissed DC's reasoning as jealousy masked as principle. The reason this is happening is simple. Jones and Cormier will never be done. Even if they never fight again, every comment reignites their rivalry. And this time, the flames spread even further when DC took aim at another superstar. DC on Conor McGregor, harsh truths. Cormier didn't just take shots at Jones, he also gave a brutally honest take on Conor McGregor. According to DC, Conor talks about fighting because he wants to stay relevant, non-stop, but because he actually wants to fight. He claimed Conor loves the headlines, the fame, and the aura, but no longer has the hunger to be the real Conor McGregor.
Conor, you called Dustin a hillbilly. Dustin and I are from the same hometown. Does that make me a hillbilly? Conor, listen, before you answer this, you remember how much bigger I am than you.
You're the ghetto hillbilly, I call you.
But that's not all. DC even said when Conor was active, fans tuned into the UFC more than ever. He admitted Conor could sell a fight better than anyone, but now it feels like he's clinging to his past. For Conor's fans, that stung. For his critics, it was validation. And just when fans thought the chaos was limited to big names, the UFC quietly dropped a bombshell on its roster. UFC cuts. Bryan Battle more. The UFC has officially cut ties with Bryan Battle after repeated weight misses. Once seen as a promising contender, Battle missed the welterweight limit 3 times, most recently weighing in at 190 pounds for a middleweight fight. That was the final straw. But listen to this. Battle wasn't the only casualty. Flyweight Julius Celerano and heavyweight Alvin Hines were also released, with Hines failing a drug test.
I would never put myself up there. Right. But I'm like right in that 4 to 7 range.
I thought you might put Anderson.
Anderson had the steroid. Right? I can't put Anderson. Like, I would like to put Anderson.
These moves show the UFC isn't afraid to trim down its roster, even when the fighters are talented. The reason this matters? It's a reminder that in the fight game, opportunities can vanish in an instant. One bad weight cut, one failed test, and you're out. Chaos inside and outside the cage. So let's piece it together. Tank Davis risking his belt and legacy in a circus fight with J-PAO. Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway showing rare respect. Hamzat Chimaev facing wave after wave of criticism from RDR, Caio Borralho, and Nate Diaz. Conor McGregor teasing a comeback in Italy. Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier reigniting their never-ending feud, and the UFC cutting fighters with no hesitation. It gets crazier the more you think about it. Boxing is turning into a spectacle, MMA's biggest stars are clashing outside the cage, and the UFC is reshaping its roster. Fans are left wondering, are we watching the future of combat sports? Or are we watching it unravel? One thing is for sure, if this much drama is happening behind the scenes, the fights themselves are about to get even more insane.